Hey guys, and welcome to There's a New Tank Available Somehow, so here's the new video. Basically, today I will be talking to you about the Kryos. Now, I sped some things up because I had a few games that I wanted to show you, but this is the actual speed that things will be going with this tank. And it's lovely. It looks great. I will be going into the looks a bit more later and everything. But it's very much a Jagdpanzer 4 with minor differences, and the Jagdpanzer 4 is a pretty good tank. Like, it does not really have a whole bunch of armor and everything, but the reload of it is amazing, and this is mainly the main virtue of this tank. Also, fair warning, I had a whole lot of lag while playing these games. So yeah, it looks a bit dodgy at times, and yeah, it is what it is. Anyhow, this tank, it is lovely. It looks amazing. The way that it drives is nice. Like, I don't advise you to drive it the way that I do, because when I test the tank, I'm always very forwards with it, mainly because I just want to see what it can take and what it can handle. And there's a reason I don't normally play the Jagdpanzer 4 on my account, because it just doesn't really fit my playstyle. Like, the reload is awesome, but like, I'm less into TDs and more into heavies, well, metal lights mainly, but yeah, I'm more into spaghettis, let me put it that way. And so this is not really a tank that I take out myself, and it was my first tier 6 that I had in the game, and that's probably also left some bad memories probably, because at the time I was still like a beginning player, so it wasn't like the best, and that probably left a bad impression. So yeah, there is that as well. Tank-wise though, like I said, it is very much a Jagdpanzer 4 with minor differences, so I'm gonna go over that with you. So I pretty much made the tanks vanilla on Blitz stars, which means no equipment, no provisions and everything, and just AP loaded, and those are the stats I'm going to give you. Now, basically, both things have a DPN of 2597, which is high, and that's mainly where this tank can be, like, it's not broken, because as you can see, I can get blown up quite easily. And that's something that's just never going to change, because it does not have like a ton of armor. It's nice, but it's not OP. And to be fair, that is really important, because it really needs that balancing factor, because with that reload, it can be relatively OP-ish in certain situations, especially when you've got someone to spot for you and no one can see where you are yet. Anyhow, it has a pen of 175, an alpha of 220, a rate of fire of 11.81, and all these numbers are exactly the same for the Jagdpanzer 4 as well. They both have a reload of 5.08 seconds, they both have an 88 caliber, and they both have a shell velocity of 773. The aim time is 1.82 for both of them, and the dispersion is where things start to differ. Like, for the Kryos, it is 0.345. For the Jagdpanzer 4, it is 0.336. So that's like 3% difference. And basically, the Jagdpanzer just is a little bit better that way. That being said, though, the dispersion on the move with the rotating turret, blah blah blah, is also slightly better for the Jagdpanzer 4 on the turret. Well, it's not really a turret, but you know what I mean. But the gun depression is where the Kryos is better, because the Kryos has a gun depression of 8 degrees, whereas the Jagdpanzer has 5 degrees. Both have an elevation of 15 degrees, but the gun depression can make quite the difference, because as you could see, like just now versus this VK and everything, at some point he has a bit of a tough time shooting me, whereas I can still shoot him. And that's mainly to do, thanks to that gun depression, I don't really need to take a risk there. I am, don't get me wrong, I am, but I don't really need to, let's put it that way. Now, the aiming arc for both is 10 degrees all around. Speed-wise, also difference, because the Kryos can go 40 km per hour forwards, whereas the Jagdpanzer 4 can go 45. And it can go 50 kilometers backwards, where the Jagdpanzer 4 can go 14 kilometers backwards. So it's different. The engine power, however, on the Jagdpanzer 4 is 410, where it is 350 on the Kryos, and that's basically probably what I've noticed the most. It feels a little bit sluggish to drive. Like I said, it's a nice tank, and that reload makes massive differences. But I think that is that little bit of lack of mobility that's basically functioning as the balancing factor here. Now, the power to weight ratio therefore is also better, as is the effective HP per ton. For the Jagdpanzer 4, I mean, terrain resistance is the same. The camo while standing still is 42%. While moving it is 25%, after shooting it is 15% while standing still, and it's 9% after shooting while standing after shooting while moving. Sorry, that was a nice little bit of brain derp that I had there. But yeah, so that's also the same for both these tanks. They both have a fury range of 230. The HP for the Kryos is 950, where it is 850 for the Jagdpanzer 4. And the Kryos weighs 3 tons more at 27.41 versus 24.41 on the Jagdpanzer. Now, the whole army is 120 in the front, 86 at the sides, and 30 in the rear. Where it is 86 frontally for the Jagdpanzer 4, it is 43 on the sides and 22 in the rear. So it's basically, like I said, it is a slightly different Jagdpanzer. It's a better Jagdpanzer 4, to be fair, because it has that more armor, and probably my trauma is basically from the Jagdpanzer 4 even having less. It doesn't feel like an armored beast or anything like that, but the way that people have been looking at me trying to find places to shoot me is something that I feel is a good thing and a good idea of why this tank can be quite strong. So whereas I'm never going to tell, I'm driving into the round, this was like a lovely showing my little bit of lag here in these games. But yeah, whereas I will never tell anyone to like actually buy something, I'm not like that. That's up to you to decide. I can't look into your wallet and everything. I do have to tell you that if you do want to buy a battle pass, then this would be the battle pass to get, and that is mainly to do with this tank, because unless Wargaming like really nerfs it, it's gonna stay this strong, and that's gonna be lovely to drive. Like if you're into TDs, if you don't mind the TDs, and you don't mind taking a little bit more time than I did while shooting, and you don't mind a little bit of a sluggish playstyle here, which is pretty much why I don't drive the tactical version of this tank that much. But yeah, that aside, it is a very strong tank, especially for a battle pass tank. It is a very strong tank, and I feel that that is worth the little bit of money that it takes. So yes, like I said, I'm never going to tell anyone to buy it, but it's more like if you were going to buy a battle pass, then this would be a good one. No idea really of the theme, but I'm going to think it's something to do with Kryos, so it's probably sci-fi, space-ish something, and that's going to be quite cool as well. That's sort of like my cup of tea, so there's that as well. And of course, you get the free XP, you get the camo, you get the search, you get gold and everything. So, as always, the Battle Pass tanks are generally worth the investment, if you can get the games in, of course. That's also something to keep in mind. But yeah. Tank-wise though, I do feel that this is a lovely monster of a tank, and I really like it. Like for a TD, I really like it. It's no Italian spaghetti tank. I'm driving into buildings here because that too. This basically, today my game has been special with me, but this is the only time that I could play and get these games in for this video, so there you go. Laggy games it is. But it still shows you the tank, and it still shows you what it's capable of, what the reload is, and all of that. And that's mainly the biggest forte of this tank. Now, I've not had the pleasure of acing this tank during these test games, but honestly, that's fine. I don't mind. And basically, it's all about just showing you what the tank is like. And I think I gave you a fair idea of what that is like. This is what it looks like, though. I did feel like I had to show that off a little bit as well. And just like the spinning parts, it looks so cool. I love the camera. When you drive, there's almost like a sort of misty slipstream that you've got, because it like the cool mist fog thing condensed that is coming off of you. But yeah, I really like it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video and my little review of this tank. I wish you all a very happy new year, and I'll be seeing you guys the next time again.